Omar, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Tabaash? Have some
Nice to
water.
see you.
Have some. Let's both
I
have.
will
We'll both have some.
indeed. When I was coming into your space, and they just showed me you taking layers after layers after layers after layers after layers of yourself. And each layer represented somebody you used to be, something that used to be, as opposed to what is now. And when you take all those layers off, then you realize that as this soul in this man's body, oh, I don't want to be a storage unit for a whole lot of stuff. That's not necessary for me. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, etc. I just want to be clear. And when you get into a place where you feel clear, it's actually quite good just to stand still. Let's just feel what it's like to be clear. Let's not be too concerned about what's over there, but more conscious about what's here. You know, the power of the now in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your attitudes, everything. So when you think about those layers, what do you think those layers mean to you, please?
So it's a lot of baggage, Tabaash. A lot of baggage came off over them.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you feel without the baggage?
Emotionally, I feel a lot less weight anymore.
Yep. Yes. Yep. Where
Almost,
do you feel? Yeah.
More
Where
more
do you
more centered, just more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, the idea is obviously, you know, like I've said in the past, the more you turn the lights on within yourself, then you're able to wander around the room of your life in a much more clearer way. And when you do that without all that emotional baggage, etc., then this is where you really get into the place of, it's not so much where am I going with this, but more, you know, what position does this put me in? What do I feel like now without those layers? And yet, I suppose I'd have to put the question to you. Where do you still feel the heaviness?
Maybe just a little bit now that it's kind of all shut off. It just where do I go with this? You know, where do I you know, it's more about, you know, what do I do? What do I do now that I have I have a choice and not so much.
Yeah. Well, think of what I just said before. You know, once you feel the energy without the layers, it is actually really important to just stand still. And when you're standing still, there's a great deal that's actually happening, because what you're also doing is that you're involved in a whole new relationship with yourself, and also a whole new relationship with life. Because when you have the layers, you've defined your life by those layers and all the truths and beliefs that come with them. And then when you step away from that, then one realizes, well, in an odd sort of way, all of that became a sort of an odd form of security for myself, because it was what I knew, and it was what my life was aligning to. And now that I'm not, then this is where I find myself into this position where it's like, okay, let's just stand still here for a moment and get a sense of my own clarity, my own lightness. And from that position, you're able to look at, what do you choose your new truths to be? What new story do you choose to write? What new beliefs do you want to get involved in? I think human nature can get too much caught into, where do I go from now, or what's next? You know, there's always more out there. There's always a big space out there. But there are times where it's like, okay, well, in the present, what are the experiences that I really want to be involved in the now? You know, what seems important for me to think now or feel now? And I think of a phrase, or not a phrase, it's a little saying that goes, life is not a series of events happening to you, but more so a series of events happening because of you. So because of the way you think and the way you feel and the way you're participating in your life, it becomes the way you wear yourself, because you're surrounding yourself with a vibration that's based on your thoughts, feelings, actions. So when you look at how you're wearing yourself, if you're wearing yourself in a very aligned way, peaceful way, empowered way, then you get a good sense of, oh, I like where I'm standing. And then that gives you a really good place to observe all the possible futures that you could create for yourself. And without having to see any of those futures as the right ones or the wrong ones. It's like, well, there it is. You know, here I am, this God, this man's body. I'm standing in this place. I've laid this all out before me. Oh, let's check it out. You know, with my ideas, with my exploration, with my whole feelings about things. Now, remember, man, you're the creator. You're the creator of your life, the creator of your thoughts, the creator of all the events of your life. And so therefore, you know, one of the things that I think as you develop more and more spiritually and more involved in how to manage that, you stop asking questions about how, and you get into just creating. You know, oh, this is what I can do now. This is what makes sense to me now. This is what I will explore now. And when you're aligned, you have good feelings about the position you're in, but good feelings about your possibilities. So you go out and explore. You adventure this thing called life, until invariably you get to a point where, oh, I seem to be organizing a new formula here, or a new truth here. And that's where you further investigate things, until invariably you get a sense where you want to, let's pull over for a moment, check this out. Now, how do I feel about that? Do I want to keep being committed to this? Do I want to attract more of this to me? You know, does it feel that it makes sense to walk towards that idea or that person or that situation or whatever? Or do I just want to stand still for a while and just allow myself to live and to sort of catch my breath a little bit, so that therefore I get a really good sense of the power of mine now, the power of my thoughts, the power of living my life for me. And it's not so much about it takes time, but from a spiritual perspective, when you start really activating the power of life through you from the higher perspective, then you end up with more choices. You end up with pretty much everything. Oh, where do I go from now? Well, you don't necessarily go anywhere. You know, humans are very much into what's next. And where you look at the God energy, it's always about the now. That's where all the energy is, all the power is, all the understanding is. So in a way, I would say that when I was looking at your water, when you came in to my space, I was thinking, well, it's all about the now for you. And the power of you, I mean, think about this, you know, without the emotional layers, in what way are you more powerful now?
I mean, without the baggage, I'm a lot more freer to choose and create.
Right. Yeah, totally. So when you choose, then it's not like in life, it's not like going to the supermarket and seeing what's on the shelves.
But I'm, you know, like I'm not in too big of a hurry to choose right just yet.
Well, don't. You know, I remember because Blair's wife Kay passed away about 2 years ago, and after her long journey with Alzheimer's, and you know, when she left for good, it just shifted the dynamics, and then suddenly he really felt, well, I really am free now. Because whilst she was still alive, you know, he still played a role in her life. And then suddenly when you're not, it took him a long time to get used to it. And a lot of people were saying, oh, you should do this to get on with that. What do you want to be doing? But it's just like, I just want to just live. You know, I don't want to have to think about where do I go from here, you know, and you let things evolve. And that's how, when I'm looking at yourself, because you're not a storage unit anymore. And you've dismantled the luggage carousel, so you don't have anywhere to put the baggage anymore. So it's just, oh, I'm just in this clear space, and let's just be. and allow the natural rhythm, because that's the other thing too, is you're no longer involved in the old rhythm. And now that you're in this new rhythm, you have to allow that rhythm just to do what it needs to do without you doing a bit of a push shove on it. It's just all, and it's not see where it takes me. That's not it either. But it's more the rhythm. I got to feel the power of this new rhythm, and allow myself to, know what that feels like as the man that I am, as the spiritual man that I am, and so on and so forth. And isn't it great to get to a place where you can just be in this space? But something that I'm going to suggest you do, because this will have its uses. At some point, you write down a list of all the things that you would like to have formal closure on. And this doesn't necessarily mean current events or, most recent events. This could be stuff that you think, oh yeah, I've been holding on to that for too long, or that idea or whatever. And then you just write it all down. And then once you finish the writing of it, you sit in front of a mirror and you wave to your reflection and you go, oh, hi, reflection, human nature, it's me, God here. Just need you to know I'm going to have some formal closure, on these things. And then you just say, I, as God, have formal closure on, and you just speak it out. When you're doing so, be aware of any emotions that come up. And because what you're doing is that you're just going down in there, you're bringing that up. Well, that's got to go. Well, that's got to go. Well, that's got to go. And you don't have to grab onto it and go, what was that all about? The experience was enough. And then once you finish your list, then just say to your human nature, oh, thanks, appreciate that. But I want you to know that that all happened to someone I used to be. And I'm clear. So I'm just closing the door on this now. And then metaphorically, you do that. And you might want to repeat this exercise a couple of times. It's just such a simple way of deactivating the old lifelines that you no longer needed to be involved in. So what you're doing as Homer is you're bringing in a whole lot of new lifelines for yourself. And as you bring those new lifelines in, then you want to make the connection first with them. And then once you make the connection, that's when you begin to consider, oh, I've got that feeling, or I've got that idea, or that's possibility. And without feeling, oh, I better plug in there and get on with it. You don't need to. There's no sense of urgency. And remember, you're the creator of your life, which means you create the routines, you create the pace that works for you. And you'll get ideas and you'll get feelings and you'll have observations. Please don't see it from the perspective of what's the best deal or the right thing or the right place and the right situation. That only comes about by you still being the creator. It's better to instead, what I said before, well, I've just crossed the line into new territory. I'll just stand for a moment and just get a sense of this territory before I do anything with it. So it's like I'm just watching your aura as I'm saying this. It's like this massive orientation that your energies are actually going through. So as a soul in your man's body, what would you wish to say to the last couple of years of your life?
Adios.
I could think of choicer words.
Yeah.
So you're freer, you're liberated, you're relieved, but you're sort of empty too. But it's not a bad empty. And the thing is, as I said before, stay empty, stay clear, don't fill yourself up with stuff anymore. You go and experience, you go and explore, but you don't have to be full of any particular emotion or idea or anything. It's you've activated within you a lot of new codes, and those codes that you've activated have presenting a new story to yourself. And therefore, with that new story, you need to get a sense of familiarization. That's a good word for where you're at this particular time. I'm familiarizing myself with what I think, what I feel, what I'm doing, etc. And also, I think that any decision you make about what you do with what you've gained, what steps you wish to take, it's important to remember that this is sort of establishing and giving you experiences and energy for the rest of your life. So that's where there are times where people need to be sort of more specific about, oh, hang on a minute, and I may have said this word to you in the past, I'm going to have life by invitation only. I want to invite in exactly the thoughts that I know I want, the feelings I want, the people that I want, etc., etc. And so, you know, the baggage that I have relieved myself of, well, you know, that's part of the old story. And now I'm sort of simplifying things. I realized how to travel light. and so rather than have, you know, a lot of bags, I have just, you know, one little thing, which is just the tools that I carry with me that assist me and guide me and direct me and motivate me and etc. So what are the feelings you have about the next step for you? So what ideas come your way, Homer?
Well, as far as maybe making even a life change, a living change, we've been flirting with the idea of moving even out of the country to Portugal.
Yep.
And just, you know, making a complete life change there, and and then trying to enjoy life so much as but the old, you know, the old saying, you know, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So
of course, absolutely. But you know, I don't think you would ever consider such a move if you didn't have the tools and the abilities, and you do. And of course, the thing is, it's like, yeah, what you say, wherever you go, you're going to find yourself. But then you're different now, and you have so much more awareness. So whatever moves that you make, whether it's within the States or whether it's to Portugal or wherever, you know, it's like, okay, well, this is an environment that I have attracted to me. And therefore I have a choice about, you know, what the terms of this is all about. And so thinking about what I said to before about when you have formal closure on something, then it just pretty much empties you and gives you this clear space to, as you humans would say, start afresh. And therefore, if you made a move forward into a place like Portugal, interestingly enough, the other place that keeps coming up around you is Hawaii. But so if you were ever to take steps out of the country, the mainland or into Europe, then you'll make it work for you. And because that's what you have inside of you. I'm going to go there because I'm going to make it work for me. But before I make it work for me, then, you know, I do all my due diligence and check everything out and look at the options and possibilities, You know, so I'm not just blindly diving in there and seeing what happens. But then I think also what's important is that you need to be considerate of, you know, at this part of our lives, where do we stand? You know, what feels natural? What, you know, what would be easy? You know, what sort of life are we looking for now? You know, because it's the life that's going to see us through to the end of our days, as they say. And so therefore, when you position yourself in an environment, you realize that the environment you put yourself in, you know, you want to make it, I'm not going to say easy on yourself, but when I mean that, I don't mean hard. But, you know, I want it to be challenging, but in a good way. And I want to go somewhere where I'm still growing and evolving and opening up doors, mind, body, and spirit. And that's where it's good to step back, look at the much bigger picture, and get a sense of, well, what sort of demands am I happy to actually naturally have on my life at this particular point? And so you have to go with a plan and a strategy and a level of, I'm going to say this, a high level of certainty. Yes, I know that would work for me because I've done my homework and I can see how I could do this and so on and so forth. And the last thing any human should do is, oh, well, we'll go and relocate and see how it works or see how it happens, you know, because that straight away is creating a vibration that puts you not on shaky ground necessarily, but it's not exactly stable, particularly if you're looking completely offshore.
Yeah. No,
and yeah. So from your perspective, why is it good to go to Portugal?
no, I get you. It was I had like some like maybe some flirtation with it before this pandemic came out 2 years ago, and then like with all that would happen was going on in the world where you couldn't even move, from one city to the next, basically. I just kind of put it out of my mind. And then my wife's son, he was in Ukrainian, so he ended up in Portugal now. So now my wife's interested in Portugal. So it's kind of like it just two can be there, but I'm still not like, that's what we're gonna do. It's just there was a, we're ready for a change, but it doesn't have to be Portugal.
No, well, exactly. And that's where it comes down to what I was saying before about everybody has lots of futures.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I can hear where your wife's coming from, because she's thinking about it also from the point of her emotional attachment, family, that sort of stuff. For yourself, it's a whole different ballgame. And okay, I don't think that your wife is so locked into that energy that she wouldn't consider other possibilities.
No.
And so, but what I said before about we've got to take all things into consideration. See, this is where, from your perspective, it's not about I want to do what's best for her, and it's more about I want to do what's best for us. I want to do what's best for all of us.
Yeah.
And that's where it's so important to be considerate of all the possibilities without thinking of them as, is that the right place? I don't believe there's such a thing as a right place. It only becomes productive to you if you invest well in it. And if you want to call that a right place, fine. But it's only become right because you invested in it.
Right. Right.
And so that's where you need to be, aware that there's no such thing as the ultimate position or the ultimate place. And that's why it's good to, at this point, consider your options. Well, it keeps coming up. How would you consider Hawaii?
Possibly. When I just the idea of living on an island that you can drive around in 45 minutes or to just, but I still the wheels started turning there because there's a specific audience there that would probably be easier to make a living with.
Yeah, well, so, the thing is that when you're used to a certain environment and then suddenly you go into something very diverse, it doesn't mean that you can't get used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting saying this because I feel that it's like you've got
not that Blair lives on an island too, but I mean,
yeah. Okay, it takes a bit longer to drive around New Zealand, but it is very much about with who you are now, mentally, emotionally, everything. It's like, okay, well, I've got to look at keeping it simple, keeping it easy, keeping it really natural. I mean, you're used to what you're used to, but then that doesn't mean you can't get used to something different. And so, this is the thing about being God more. You start expanding your ideas about yourself and your horizons, and you begin to explore and look at all the possibilities. And then you look at what feels like it's a certainty within you. That, yeah, I could do that. But even feeling things as a certainty doesn't necessarily mean that will work out for you or is the best thing to do. Look, there's still so much that's changing on the planet. I'm not talking about the pandemic thing.
No, there's many things, and that's kind of why I feel too that don't want to jump to do anything like a move to Portugal right now, just because I feel like I'm looking at the precipice that the economy, social unrest, You know?
Yeah, I agree. There's the dismantling is still happening. And as the dismantle still happens, then, you have to observe, but you also have to look at ways of securing your position even more.
Yeah, because if everybody else is going to run there too, because of the
yeah completely yeah
it's not going to be the place to be.
Well, it's like everything just moved sideways. It just took everything and moved it to Portugal, and so, but and I'm just, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking about the movement of life going on within yourself through your feelings and through your thoughts, etc., and just all the different shifts of energy you're going through. I mean, don't forget, you're at a point in human history that you wanted to participate in. So all the things that are transpiring are just natural to this time in human nature. And all the souls on this planet want to be here. Whether they like it or not, you are. So therefore, the position you're in, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to make a whole lot of new arrangements, not just physiologically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc. So I'm arranging all of my life, all of myself into a better alignment, so that therefore I wear myself in an ultimate way and therefore secure my position. And in the securing of my position, I'm going to be very, very conscious of all the different environments I'm creating for myself. Literal environments, emotional ones, intellectual ones, spiritual ones, work ones, everything. It's like, who needs who I am? And where do I need to position myself in that sense? And also, too, and more as I say this, I feel that as a healer, as a spiritual man, you're finding more of your voices. And therefore you begin to be even more aware of, right, okay, where's the best place for me to do that, for me to put my message across. And that's where you're literally seeking for formulas that say, yes, that works for me. And then, like anything, you still have to manage it and organize it and structure it. So you're in a sort of a position of power, but you're also in a position of observation. Let's observe without feeling the pressure of making a move. Your wife is she on the same page as you, or does she just want to go to Portugal because her son's there?
No, she's on the same page as I am. She's
excellent. Yeah, that's good. So it's about being realistic. So that's good. And I'm just, as I'm talking, I'm gauging emotions and feelings, and the energy of your future feels good. It feels strong. It feels aligned. But I keep getting the words structural, practical, common sense, things like that coming into this. It's rather like, let's lay all the cards on the table, and if we're going to make any moves, then we got to look at what the best deal is, and also too,
and be practical.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And therefore also thinking about the present, the power of the now. Why is it good that where we are and what we're doing and all that sort? Are we making it work for us? And to not get caught up into all the stuff that's going on, not to get caught up into the stories, but just to get into the common sense of life and the common sense of things. You're a pretty perceptive, sensitive individual, and you've got a good observer about what's going down. And yeah, there's going to be more social changes and economical changes and all that sort of stuff. That has to happen because humanity is living in a way which is unsustainable. And therefore, you have to bring in the new vibrations, which is what's occurring. So those new vibrations are coming in. And as they come in, it's like humans get whacked around a little bit in the process. And so, and of course, that's a global thing. So wherever you go, it's still going to be there. But there are places where you'll feel more aligned and more plugged in, so to speak. And but it's still a good road that humans are walking if they keep aligned to their mind, body, spirit, and which is, which I know you do in your way. But when you look at plans, it's not about shelving them for another time. I think it's about being as productive with your ideas as you possibly feel you can. So that therefore you always have all these, all I have to do is push that button and I activate that. And so, but at the moment it's about, okay, what do I need to activate within myself that's going to give me the best deals at this particular point? And look, I don't think of anyone being in danger or anything of that nature. But okay, there are some places in the world you don't want to go to. Mm-hmm. And simply because it's just, not a practical perspective, basically, see. So I feel you're okay for where you are at this point, but it is about throwing out those new lifelines, so to speak, you see. So, okay, what do you think is in Hawaii for you?
Well, I mean, it's a different climate for sure. I get the different than where I'm at right now. It's 103 degrees today. I don't know what that is Celsius, but 40 something.
That's hot.
And we've been that way for over, I don't know, maybe 50 days straight, over 100.
Yep.
No break. So the weather here is just either brutally cold or brutally hot. There's no.
Yep.
And so that with age is you want more pleasant climate for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your environment, even when it comes to the temperatures, of course, it does determine, your mood, your ideas, physiologically, mentally, everything. And okay, I know people adapt into those sorts of circumstances and situations, but when you have choice, it's to be able to look at all your possibilities. If you don't have choice, well, then you stay where you are. But we're not just talking about the temperature. We're talking about your life here. We're talking about where it best suits you and your wife, to grow, to evolve, to be happy, to live our lives, to be activated in really productive ways, basically. See. And so it's interesting because when I was coming into your space and I was sort of looking around you, I was just thinking, I suddenly saw these boxes, cardboard boxes all around you, like you'd packed everything up and you were waiting to be on the move. And I think in a metaphorical sense, you've already done quite a lot of that packing. So it just seems a move is inevitable. Yeah. And yet a move begins sometimes a very long time before you actually make it for real. And I think that's, particularly the last couple of years, as you said, got rid of the baggage and you moved into the space you're in now, then it's like, right, well, now I've got time to really clear things up even more. But at the same time, let's start being on the move. Let's start reaching for more and initiating possibilities and plans, concepts, ideas, and that's exciting. And it's nice to think that people can still create those phases for themselves in their lives. Okay, theoretically, if you were to stay put, what would you need to do within to be able to accommodate that choice?
I don't even think that's an option anymore.
No. Yep. And are you okay with that option? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
Are you peaceful with that choice?
Yeah, I'm at peace with it. I'm waiting for somebody to walk into this place and say, "Hey, I want to write you a check for this."
Yep.
That's what I'm waiting for theoretically. It's just that somebody to walk in the door and say, "Oh, here's a check for your business."
Have you done a cleansing and a clearing of your business?
No, but that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, as God, have you told your human nature that this is your plan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be a good place to
yeah,
start.
yeah. Because I mean, think about it, and what we were saying before about formal closures and the deactivation of the old energies. So you need to stand amongst your business, and you need to just you do it out loud or whatever, but you just say, "Hey, it's me, God here. Um, Human nature, business nature, whatever words you want to use. I've made this decision that I want to sell this. I made this decision that I'm on the move." And then you first say to the energy, well, first and foremost, I just want to thank you, for what you've given me and all the experiences I've had because of this and whatever words come to your mind. But then you explain, well, I need to be on the move now. This just doesn't represent who I am now in the same way. And then you say, I want to open this as an opportunity for someone, to give themselves a chance and open up a door for them. And then, using your creative visualization, you imagine the check being handed to you with exactly the amount that you want. And realistically. And so it's so important, this, because particularly now, because everything is more about certainty. You need to tell your life, tell your human nature, tell your bodies, tell your minds, tell your life, everything. Okay, this is what we're doing now. Oh, by the way, human nature, it's me, homie here. Oh, by the way, have you noticed we don't have the baggage anymore? And so you tell your human nature, okay, so we don't need that. So now you're baggage free, and this is how I need you to be, and to think, and to feel, etc. And so it's a very directive time, whether it's how you choose to deal with the past, be in the present, or create the possible futures, that are out there for you. Put your human nature in the picture by expressing, and then you do your cleanses and you do the clearings and you do the formal closure stuff. So you're deactivating the old energy. You don't wait around for someone to come around. You start taking action, mind and body and spirit. So you pay attention to the components and the formula that you're involved in. And then it's not, oh, well, I've done that, we'll see what happens. Every day you keep projecting the vibration of it, because it's what I said to before. It's the way you wear yourself. And I see people do that. They wear it for a couple of weeks. Oh, well, nothing's happened. Better take that t-shirt off. And then I like to put it is I would say, I'm gonna wear myself as God. Because when you wear yourself as God, man, you just walk outside your front door and you change the world. And you're not even saying anything. You've just worn yourself in the highest way. And if you're consistent with that, then you've trained up all your systems to be activated into action, because you're wearing this vibration. So when you send an intention, if you're just wearing yourself in human terms, then it's a sort of like goes like this. But when you wear yourself as God and you send an intention, it goes boom, like that. Because everything is activated and aligned. And humans talk about the power of attraction stuff. And so it's very much about, I'm wearing myself as God, which means I've activated all the productive codes of life that give me success, mind, body, and spirit. And if I consistently wear myself in that way, that's a simple way of training up my body and my thoughts and my emotions. This is what we do now. This is who we are now. And that's much easier than having a meditation and projecting a reality and all that sort of stuff. I said to you once before, a long time ago, a phrase which was, truth needs no publicity. So if you just wear yourself in the way you do in the higher God part, then that says enough. That says it all, as they say. And then you start lining up the options and the possibilities. But it all all has to start with you. First and foremost, okay, before I can do anything, I got to do some deactivation. I've got to do some formal closure. I got to do some announcing to my human nature. This is a position. You don't have to say to it, this is what I hope to be doing. It's not relevant at the moment. It's like, okay, for the moment, this is what we need to deal with. So therefore, that's, what I will work with. Look, yeah, you got all of that available to you because that's how it is God. But then at the moment, you just need to deal with this part just around you. Because it's that's where you're functioning. And then once you've dealt with that, then that becomes more available to you. And otherwise it just gets too pressurized and it ends up putting thoughts and feelings and emotions through you unnecessarily. All right, this is who I am now. This is what I'm doing now. This is what's possible now. This is the energy that I am involved in right now. I don't have to be conscious of where this is going to take me and what's next. It's more of a matter of, okay, let's organize all my power within to have my closures, attract new deals my way. And then once I've created that, then what we were saying before about, right, well, money's in the bank, let's just stand still. And then just look at, what makes sense. So it's not about, oh, well, we'll take a trip over there and see what happens and maybe check that out, et cetera, et cetera. No, it's more about, let's just stand still and just watch what's going on in the world, look at what's a really practical step to take, and look at how I want to invest in my future. And it sounds a funny way of putting this, but, for the rest of your life, and of course anyone else, you will never live in certain times ever again. But that doesn't mean that's a bad thing. And living in uncertain times doesn't mean bad things are going to still happen and da-da-da-da-da. But you're living in uncertain times because everything is changing. And you're having to adapt into the new language of the world and of life itself. And so as more and more unfolds, then again, what I said before about this isn't happening to me, it's happening because of me. And for every human being on this planet, within their thought, if everyone was really wearing themselves as God, well, even a small percentage, it would change things for the better. But you will never know certain times again because it's just not going to happen in this lifetime. But then you can take the power of that uncertainty and make it work for you. Blair's always saying to me every morning, oh, Tabaash, it's every day. It's like the vibration is just different. Everything is just shifted. You just don't know where you stand anymore. And as I say, it's the way it is. And he says, well, what do I do with it? I go, adapt. Just look at, stand still. Okay, what do God let me do here? So you don't sit there and try to find a solution to something because it's impossible. Because you find a solution to something, then tomorrow the energy shifted again. So that solution has no power over you ever again. So it's very, very important to be I'm going to say positive in the uncertainty. And by being positive in the uncertainty, then you see the power of it and you don't get involved in it in a way where it drags you around. You're still standing your ground, standing your strength, standing your power, standing your success, selling your business, making your moves. You're not waiting around, oh, I can't do this until this happens and da-da-da-da-da, or, uncertain times, better not do this, et cetera, et cetera. It's about living. And I remember when all this pandemic thing hit, and people were ringing up Blair and saying, oh, with all your spirituality, you must know specific secret things that can help us with meditations and things like that. And they go, well, what do you do? As if he's got the answer to it all. And he just laughed and he says, man, I just live my life. I go to work, I go to the gym, I hang out with my mates, I just do my thing. But, as he put it, I do it as God. And being God does not make you infallible to human experiences. But being God supports you in your circumstances. Being God activates within you the mechanisms that tell you what to do and show you thoughts and feelings and all that sort of stuff. And so being God doesn't necessarily give you all the answers, but it gives you the power to create the answers. So the God energy will always give you the power. And so when you call upon the alignment with that, then that's when it shows you how to look at yourself. Because I suppose really what I'm saying is that when you plug into that God part of you, then you just turned all the lights on. And then, oh, right, I see everything now, whereas before I didn't. And now that I see everything, well, it just comes down to, okay, let's observe. What's my plan? Here's my strategy. What steps feel natural? As I said that, your higher nature said what feels natural for you is stand still, but do your deactivation. Do that natural empty. When I mean deactivation, I'm not talking about, oh, I've got to process that sort of stuff. That's third dimensional, new agey, human nature stuff. When you're God, you don't deal with human emotions. You just deal with the power of life. And therefore it's like, right, I'm doing this natural deactivation of the lifelines that have no relevance to me. And then when you do that also, that's when you get a powerful alignment that you have with Source. Do you feel God with you, Homo? Do you feel Spirit with you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, of course. And do you use it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And why do you think it works for you? Because you are aligned to that. And so so how are you using it to sell your business? See, remember, God won't sell your business, but you can align to the power, and God could say, I'll give you some power so that you can sell your business. And that's how it always works. And like God will say, I'll give you power so you can be healthier. I'll give you power for you know where to live. But I can't tell you how to live. I can't tell you how to do this or whatever. I can just give you the power of life. And then you decide what you're going to do. And of course, you'll always get mentorship and support and encouragement and all that sort of stuff. But regardless of any of that, you're still the one who decides. It would be like if God said to you, go and stand outside in the heat of the day for 2 hours. And I mean, there's a part of you that would, well, I can't see the logic in that. So you walked out, but you left the door open. And after a while, you're probably going to get pissed off and very hot. And then in the end, after like half an hour, you thought, bang at this. So you just went back inside to the aircon. And God said, I'm glad you did this because that showed you that you had your own choices and your own free will. And you have to listen to what works for you. And so for yourself, it's very much about, knowing I've got the power to know what could work for me. And look, you're a pretty aligned individual. And I know that wherever you put yourself in the world, you'll make it work for you because I know that's what you will do. And so this is your time to consider all your options that make sense to you. Start planning possibilities, but that formal closure stuff is really, really essential. So that therefore you're just getting all your loose ends tied up as such. And always remember that for the rest of your life. If you want to take a step forward, whatever it is, simple ways, it's always about information that you give to your human nature, making sure that you're not holding on to any unnecessary alignment. Blair did this when his wife died. He was with her and he just took her hands when he noticed her breathing changed. And she took 3 breaths and then went. And he held on to her hands for about 20 minutes and loved her into spirit, and then placed her hands on her body and then sat next to her, and then had a meditation straight away, and then said to his human nature, oh, it's me, God here. Oh, I just need you to know my wife's now passed into spirit. So now I wish to have complete formal closure on our marriage of 45 years, and particularly the last 15 years of her illness. And he literally could feel like the energy just moving out of him. And it just moved out of him. And he just felt so clear and just felt peaceful, like, yeah, I played my part. I did the job. Now that's not my life anymore. And okay, I know a lot of people could look at it from that perspective, particularly if your wife just died and then suddenly you're meditating and feeling great about everything. But when you're God, you see the joy of it, because, and as Blair said, well, she's gone home. She's relieved now. She's fine. And therefore, it's very much about, right, I've got a life to live. Let's get on with what I need to create. Let's get on with my feelings, and so on and so forth. But it's also important to tell your nature, okay, story's changed, new way of thinking, new way of feeling, new way of being, new possibilities. Keep putting, even each day, keep putting your human nature in the picture, through your thoughts, through your spirituality. Be more directive in that particular way. And then that's when you start getting a real strong inkling of really what makes sense to you. And you get strong feelings about things. And see, again, Hawaii keeps coming up. And again, it's not just the climate. Obviously, your higher nature feels that's a good thing to look at. So there are possibilities that are there, you see. And so, look, every place has its benefits and otherwise. So, I mean, it gets stinking hot in Portugal too. So this is where, even more so than where you are, it's been, massive heat waves over there. So I just want to make sure that you take steps that feel natural to you. And that's, what's important for where your energies are at this. Look, I've talked nonstop for almost an hour. You want to ask me any questions?
I guess the basic things is, how am I doing health wise? Am I checking the boxes?
Let's have a look there. General energies got a green tick on it. Okay, so that's good. Look, you're paying a lot of attention to yourself, mind, body, and spirit. So therefore, you made some good fundamental changes since we first met, which is good. What would I say? If there's any extras you need at the moment, take more zinc in your diet. So zinc is important. Keep the hydration going, which you do. Probiotic is good. So that's good for your gut health. I just see this light around your energy. Anything you feel that you want to pay attention to?
I need more activity, more exercise.
Yep. Okay. I mean, that's easily for you to organize that. Even if you just do those old-fashioned.
I think since we talked last time, I meat's out of the picture now, and it's just fish and
fish
and veggies.
Yeah. That what do they call it? The Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
That's a good diet for you, and you're lighter. Your energies are more aligned. I'm just doing a little bit to your knee joints.
Yeah. Hips, knees, and backs have been.
Yeah. But again, those are just practical things. Just don't get jumping into a whole lot of stuff you don't really need to do. Just listen to, the way you feed your mind, feed your body, feed your spirit, the way that works for you. You know yourself well enough these days to know what serves you and what doesn't serve you. Keep with your flexibility. That's important. But I would say you could improve some of your muscle strength. So keep doing that. That's good for your bones and your spine and all that sort of stuff. So just little practical things, like that. But no, I'll give you a warrant of fitness.
Okay.
I have to go.
Thank you so much, Tabaash.
It's been a pleasure to see you again.
Well,
Much love. Thank you. Thank you. I'll bring Blair back and you could say goodbye. Okay. Goodbye for now. Bye.